I'm Shannon Thrasher, and this is 30-Second Tactics. Today we're going to talk about flashlights, handheld flashlights and weapon-mounted flashlights. Now, when I first started out, this was not necessarily uncommon. You might see a 2 or 3 cell mag light, D cell. Thing was not very bright by today's standards, but we managed. One of the problems with these, of course, besides the lack of brightness and constantly putting new batteries in them, was the size and the weight. You know, that's practically like toting another baton with you. And unfortunately, some people kind of thought that was the case and would use them as impact weapons. So then we get kind of the next generation, where you have the smaller ones that will fit on your belt. And of course, there's lots of varieties. This happens to be a Steamlight. And then what I call a mid-size flashlight, there's, hundreds of options. But I'll talk about real quick, the button itself that turns it on, you're basically going to get 2 options. You're going to get one like this up toward the head of the flashlight, or you're going to get one on the back. This is this kind. The problem with this one that I see is there's basically one way to turn it on. You hold it like this, which is not really, it can become somewhat awkward when you think about holding a handgun and also doing this. Or you can do one of these. But again, you're trying to use your pinky to turn on a light under stress. They do have them that have both this button and this button, and that could be nice. But I've found that just the one on the back is much better for different grips. And we're not teaching a whole class on flashlight deployment here, but you get the idea. So, of course, then we're also going to talk about the weapon-mounted light. And again, there's at least 2 big major brands out there, and I ain't scared to name them, SureFire and Steamlight, that probably make the best products. They also make the most expensive products. So if you're on a budget, there are some cheaper options. This is actually the LA Police Gear one that I've got a few weeks ago, and I've been reviewing and using for other on other guns and other shooting and testing and stuff. So far, so good. I'll do a follow-up on this one later. That's not what this video is about. But, so that's the kind of flashlights we have. Nowadays, this is probably a good representation of what the average cop's carrying. So let's talk about real quick, why we're carrying flashlights. And of course, people are going to say, oh, well, to see in the dark. And that's true. But what do we want to see in the dark? So first of all, we have to get there, right? We have to move through the dark without tripping, without stepping on things, without falling off a cliff. So movement or navigation in dark or limited light situations is going to be a good use for a flashlight. And then, of course, searching, why are we there? Why are we looking? Well, we're probably looking for somebody or something. So that's going to help us search, dark areas. And then, of course, identification kind of goes along with that. I see something in the shadows. I don't know if it's just a shadow or if it's a good guy or if it's a bad guy. So that's why we put the light on it. And then, of course, control. We find a bad guy. You shine that light in his face or her face, and that's to some degree going to control them. Now, it's not a magic tool that, instantly paralyzes them. But if they can't see you, or if they can't see or at all, or, they're just overwhelmed by the brightness, that can help you control them, in addition to your verbal and possibly physical things you're going to do. So, let me back up real quick on the flashlights before I talk about some other things. So the power, or the power supply, or the batteries or whatever on your flashlight are basically going to have 2 options. Rechargeable or, disposable. Now this, and I'm not, this is an ASP. I'm happy with this flashlight. ASP doesn't know me. I paid for this light. But this is one of those ones where you unscrew it right there and just plug into a USB, and it's a rechargeable battery. And that's great, but what I really like about this one is this rechargeable batteries inside can be removed, and 2 123 batteries can be put in. So in an emergency or just I didn't have time to charge it thing, you can run with real fresh batteries at any time. So I like that. But whether or not rechargeable batteries are best for you or disposable batteries are best for you, that's going to be you. You know, does your department supply them? Do you have to pay for them? Would you rather have, you know, that's your decision to make. Which is, you know, understand, in my opinion, the ones with both options are better for, you know, the obvious reasons. Talk real quick about lumens or candela or candle power or whatever term you want to use to describe how bright your light is. Let me quote a guy from a low light class I took that said, "I want all the lumens." I mean, there's been some, I don't want to say rumors, but there's been some misinformation floating around the last couple of years. Is, you know, oh, if you have too much light on your gun, you're going to hit the white wall and blind yourself. Well, you know, my first thought is, well, if you shine it at a white wall or you shine it at a mirror or something like that and it's too bright for you, then just simply move it. Problem solved. But when I'm searching those deep, dark corners, or I'm trying to disorient the guy that I'm pointing the light at, or I'm trying to search, you know, 200 yards across a field, I want all the lumens. This one here happens to be 800. You know, when they come out with one that's 8,000, I'm going to try it out because, I mean, who wouldn't rather have, you know, the sun at noon at 2 a.m. searching that building if you could get it. All right, well, switch up here just a little bit and give you a little demonstration. So we've all been here before, searching a dark building, even searching outside at night. It was dark, going through somebody's garage, basement, whatever, you know, situation you have. We're human. We don't see in the dark. We need flashlights. Otherwise, you're walking around, stumbling into stuff, missing suspects. You know, everything you can think of goes wrong in the dark. So, like we talked about, first thing the light's going to be good for is navigation. You know, get that light on, see where you're walking. You know, don't stumble on all this stuff. Okay, it's good for searching. Turn it off. I have no idea what's over in that corner. Turn it on. That corner is nice, well illuminated, right? It's good for control. We got a bad guy here. Light goes in his eyes. Is that going to keep him from shooting you? No. But it's going to add to his OODA loop and give him something else to think about. It might give you that split second you need to take control. So at this point, you know, we're still, all this is handheld light. Because we're searching, and maybe this girl's down in the basement by herself and she accidentally set off her own alarm. So we don't necessarily want to be pointing guns at people, right? Depending on the scenario. Now, if you need to, you need to. But if we get this scenario, you know, lights in his eyes, transition to the weapon light, and you guys can't tell from behind the camera, but that's the weapon light, you know, right at the dude's forehead, deciding if I'm going to take that shot or not. So obviously, guys, that's a really quick down and dirty look at flashlights, handheld and weapon mounted. Strongly encourage you to seek out some training, find some guys that know what they're talking about, get those reps in, and get good with your flashlights. So that's it, guys. As always, work, train, repeat. Stay safe.